At least one outcome.
Another thing to mention is that you're going to be working on yourselves.
Yeah.
In partnership with the coaches that are here and with each other. And of course, in the process of working on yourself, occasionally stuff comes up. And that's a good thing, isn't it? Because that allows you to work with it. But realizing it's just stuff, it's just thoughts, it's just emotions, that you can just process those thoughts.
It wasn't me.
And emotions. Wasn't me either. So if you find, you feel like you're getting in a bit of a spin in the mind, just let one of the coaches know, and we can work with you and work through that. So just be okay with that. It's just part of the process.
We've asked 10 of our trainers in training to be team leaders. So if you team leaders will stand now, and so if you'll go to your team number, and I guess the team leaders, you can put up the fingers for your group, and we'll get into the group for 12 minutes to identify your intention and to get acquainted a little bit, and then we'll be back here to begin. Where we are and where we're going, page 7 in your training manual, page 7 gives you the schedule, the APG schedule for where we're going to go, and you can see day 1 as we welcome you to the matrix of your mind and some of the things we're going to talk about. The first section there is on introducing metastates as a model, so that's what we're going to do now. You can see what we're going to do tomorrow and the next day on page 7 and 8. The prerequisites of genius on page 9 gives you an overview of this training. In the APG training, what we're going to do is to learn how to metastate ourselves for personal genius. And our belief is that there's a structure. There's a structure to genius, and we're going to find that structure, and that'll give us the highway into excellence. You like to know that highway? That highway to excellence? So that we can travel that highway. The next page, page 10, gives you the 10 critical variables or features of genius that we'll be metastating ourselves, and that'll be the direction we'll go. As we get started, I need to give a warning. Danger, danger, and this is page 11, second paragraph. To learn metastates involves a different kind of thinking. In NLP, how many people have got training in NLP here? Excellent. How many do not have? How many are NLP virgins? Ooh. We always like to say, fresh brains to play with. NLP does a lot of strategy work, and what we mean by that is, what do you think first? What do you think next? What do you think next? And what do you think next? And do you make a picture? Do you make a sound? Do you have a sensation? And we have a linear strategy to figure out how do you think and feel that creates your experience, a strategy. What we're doing with metastates is not linear. It is non-linear. It is very systemic in that sense. And as we get into metastates, you're going to find oftentimes your mind spinning. Because actually that's how the brain works. The brain does not work logically in a linear sequential. That's why mathematics for most of us is difficult. Because most of us go in circles. You ever do that one? You think about something and then you think about it again. Then you think about it again. and you can do a circle downward or upward. You know, why did I think that? Must be something wrong with me. I'm so ashamed of myself. But I shouldn't do that because I know better. And there I go shitting on myself. And so we think, and then we think about our thinking, and it can send us into a spiraling downward experience until it gets worse and worse. So that some people actually say, I am going to stop thinking. Because it makes things worse. I know people who are committed to not thinking. To avoiding awareness. Ooh, awareness. But we can also spiral upward. We can think something and then get excited about that, and then get passionate about that, and get curious about that, and get passionate about that. And so we can spiral upward. And those are wonderful times. So in metastating, I am hoping to put you into a spin. And if I don't thoroughly and absolutely confuse you by the end of the day, I will not have reached one of my goals. Now, when you go into that spin, When your thoughts about your thoughts and about your feelings, about your thoughts, about your memories, about your imagination, about your intention, about your decision, about your identity, it all gets kind of going in that way, and you feel like you're in the blender. When you get like that, just enjoy the ride. Because if you try to stop it, it'll intensify it. But if you go for the ride, you'll just see where the stream of consciousness goes, and where the eddies are, where the tornado of the mind goes, and just enjoy the ride. Because once you learn how to ride the torrents of your mind, the winds of your mind, once you learn to ride it, then you can really manage those higher levels of your mind. So as a warning, learning meta states involves a different kind of learning, and oftentimes we'll go for a spin, and just accepting that and welcoming that and learning to play with that is going to be at the heart of learning this. Page 12 has today's agenda. Introducing reflexivity. And for the things we're going to do today, we're going to talk about ownership of our powers, accepting self, appreciating self, and standing in awe of our sense of self, and then meditating confirmation and disconfirmation to create some really empowering beliefs. And then we'll end this afternoon, as you send you off this evening back home, with pleasure. Somebody has to do it, so we'll just have pleasure upon pleasure upon pleasure, and they'll wonder, where did you go today?
Can I go with you tomorrow?
On page 12, as you see the beginning there about states, what is a state? This is going to be our first definition. A state is a mental, emotional state, a dynamic mind-body state of experience that operates as an experiential energy field. We experience life in specific mental and emotional states. Our state of mind, our state of body, our state of emotion are so integrated and interrelated that we really can't separate them. So we start with a person responding to something in the world, and whatever we respond to, as we respond, we have some kind of state. And so we're going to play with states. You can't understand metastates unless you really understand states. So that's where we begin with states as an energy field, as a state of mind, as a state of body, and the summation of that is a state of emotion. So we'll tie all that together, a mind, body, emotion state. Some of the components are cognitive, some of the components are somatic and emotional and physiological, and some of the components have to do with the very neurology and physiology that we're in. So a mind-body state. And this is where we start. And part of the reason we start here is because the quality of your life is the quality of your states, isn't it? When you put your head on your pillow at night, what has been the quality of your day? The quality of your life? Well, the states you've been in. If you've been grumpy all day, irritable all day, frustrated, stressed, angry, fearful, apprehensive, worried, the quality of your life is the quality of your states. So if I want to have a higher quality life, I need higher quality states. Mental states, emotional states, and physical states. And when I have those states and can repeat those states, then that increases the quality of my life. So we start with state, and I'm just going to go through some things that's really State 101. I think the next page has that as a title, State 101. And for those of you who've been through NOP, this will be just summary, really, of NOP practitioner. So here's a mind-body state, a neuro-linguistic state of awareness. And a couple facets of the state. A state is a response to something out in the world. It's our response to some stimulus. And the genius of NOP is the genius that how I think is I make a movie in my mind. I make a movie in my mind of whatever I'm thinking about. So if I want to go into a state, I think about something in my mind that will correspond to that state. Now, I've used a number of metaphors as I've thrown out some things, like the whirlwinds of the mind, like a blender, like spinning up or spinning down. How did you represent that in your awareness? What movies played? Or did you make a snapshot?